Welcome to eCareDiary.com's Caregiver Tips and Clips. I'm your host Meghna Kirital. Each week we will focus on a caregiving issue in the form of a short educational video. The subject of today's video is suicide among elders. Suicide is a major public health concern. More than twice as many people die by suicide each year than by homicide. Elderly suicide in particular is a very serious problem since they are the fastest growing segment of the population. The statistics are quite alarming. Among those who are aged 65 and above, white males comprise over 80% of all late life suicides. Although the elderly comprise about 13% of the US population, they account for over 18% of all suicides. In racial and ethnic groups, American Indians and Alaska Natives tend to have the highest rate of suicides, followed by non-Hispanic whites. Hispanics tend to have the lowest rate of suicides, while African Americans tend to have the second lowest rate. People of all genders, ages, and ethnicities can be at risk for suicide, but most people at risk tend to share certain characteristics. The main risk factors for suicide are depression, a prior suicide attempt, mental disorder, substance abuse, family history of suicide and violence, having guns or firearms in the home, or being in prison. It is important to be aware of typical warning signs so that you can act quickly. Some common signs include appearing depressed or sad most of the time, talking or writing about death, withdrawing from family and friends, feeling hopeless, feeling strong rage or anger, experiencing dramatic mood changes, abusing alcohol or drugs, acting impulsively, losing interest in sleep or eating, losing interest in other activities, performing poorly at work, feeling excessive guilt or shame, and acting recklessly. A trained mental health practitioner, such as a family therapist who is experienced with handling issues of the elderly, including depression and suicide, can offer services to those suffering. Studies show that brief therapy can be very beneficial and when combined with medication for depressive disorders can be very effective. There are plenty of resources for people who are grappling with this issue. National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is a 24-hour toll-free confidential suicide prevention hotline available to anyone in emotional distress. By dialing 1-800-273-8255, the call is routed to the nearest crisis center in our national network of more than 150 crisis centers. The caring responders at the Veterans Crisis Line are specially trained and experienced in helping veterans of all ages and circumstances. Some of the responders are veterans themselves. The National Action Alliance for Suicide Prevention is the public-private partnership advancing the national strategy for suicide prevention. The mission of National Institute of Mental Health is to transform the understanding and treatment of mental illnesses through basic and clinical research, paving the way for prevention, recovery, and cure. Elder suicide will continue to be a major health problem as the baby boomer generation enters retirement. That's why it's essential that more efforts surrounding care, mental health, and legal initiatives must be focused on this age group to reduce the preventable tragedy at the end of life. Thank you for joining us today. To access more caregiver tips and clips, visit us at www.ecarediary.com. Until next time.